chapter 1. This week's chapter 1 is New Year Nuisance from the Holiday Cozy Mystery Series. Chapter 1. Don't even get me started on your replacement. Mae West wore a pair of black skin-tight leggings with a lime green wool sweater and her fancy New York booties. I'd noticed those right off when she rolled into my hometown of Normal, Kentucky a few years ago before I'd moved to Holiday Junction. I mean, literally, rolled into town in a camper van. She'd not stopped talking since she walked off the airplane at the Holiday Junction airport, which was about the size of her camper van. Mae, this is Rhett Strickland. I barely got the words out between her breaths before a huge smile curled up on her face. She abruptly stopped, flung a strand of her curly, honey blonde hair behind her shoulder, and threw her arms around him. Rhett! Her voice was clearly assuming that he was someone he wasn't. Nice to meet you. Any friend of Violet's is a friend of mine. Welcome to Holiday Junction, he peeled himself off Mae. His brow rose and he looked at me with a half-cocked smile. Are all the people from Kentucky this friendly? Because Violet sure wasn't this friendly the day I met her at this very spot. He grabbed the handle of Mae's luggage and jerked it to full extension so he could roll it behind him. I guess Violet will have to bring you home for a visit. Mae wagged her brows. Oh no, I cackled out loud and pinched off a piece of the bagel I'd gotten from the airport's small cafe while I had waited for Mae's plane to land. We aren't an item, heck no. A weird nervous laugh I'd not recognized came out of me. You said Strickland. Mae started to say something that didn't need to be said before I grabbed her by the elbow, jerking her to me. I'm so glad you called after Christmas. I had to change the subject of my love life when I didn't even know what my love life was all about. Let's get you in the car. Rhett was a catch, don't get me wrong, and we had all a little spark between us. I'm talking tiny, just a flicker really when I'd first come to town, after there'd been too much going on in my new life to even think about lighting that wick because it was quickly put out. On the other hand, his cousin Darren didn't seem like my type. Even though I wasn't on the prowl, he seemed to be around everywhere. Over Halloween, we'd shared a kiss, but it never gotten any further than that. By the way he slid me into his arms that night, I thought for sure I'd have a date to the New Year's Eve celebration, the famous Sparkle Ball. But he was like a cricket, silent during the day, but loud at night. Calling him loud was really giving him too much credit. It was the bar he owned that was loud at night, the Jiggle Joint. Well, at least that's what I called it, even though the name on the solid door read bar. I didn't think I had to say much more than that it was a jiggle joint. Truly, there was a lot more drinking, throwing darts, and rowdy chatter than jiggling going on. I had to walk past the bar every night on my way home from my office at the Junction Journal, the local newspaper of which I was the editor-in-chief, photographer, journalist, and well, just all things. Rhett is the security guard here at the airport, I told Mae. We followed Rhett into the one-room terminal before he stopped shy of the TSA agent and Dave. Mae's eyes grew big when she saw Dave. Okay, you have no business talking about the strange animals we have back home, Mae laughed. I bet she couldn't wait to tell people back home about Dave. He was the local rooster who was part of the security team. Dave is better than any sniffing security dog out there. Rhett was confident in telling Mae about Dave and a few of his rooster sniffing stories. And we have a dog for a mayor. That I do know. Mae pointed to the jar on the podium where Dave and the TSA agent were perched. What's that? Those are worms. Treats for Dave. Rhett picked up the jar. Dave clucked to life and stood tall like a soldier. Well, now I've seen it all. Mae turned to me and wagged a finger. Don't you ever make fun of Normal Kentucky again. I smiled. Being around Mae brought a sense of familiarity that made me long for the comforts of home, though I couldn't get back to Kentucky anytime soon. I was going to soak up all the joy it brought my soul to see her and gab about all the friends we knew. Rhett unscrewed the lid off the jar and held it out for Mae, who took a dehydrated piece of worm out. Just give it to him, Rhett instructed her and pretended to hold a piece for reference. Thanks, Dave. May threw her head back and laughed with her mouth wide open. We might be hillbillies in Kentucky, but this town is strange, she whispered between us. When I saw Violet come in this morning to greet you, I was thinking she was sneaking off for some big interview. You know, I met her the day her plane made the emergency landing, Rhett continued to walk us through the one-room airport towards the door. She certainly didn't like my uncle then and could barely be in the same room with him now. Oh, you're the police chief's nephew, not son. May snapped her finger and the emerald gold ring she wore flickered as the light inside the airport caught it. May, I gasped and grabbed her hand to look at the engagement ring Hank Sharp had given her. I love it. I did love it, but I was a little shocked that it was an emerald. Oh, I keep forgetting you've been gone since I got engaged. She curled her hand in and pulled it to her chest as though she didn't want me to see it or talk about it. Speaking of rings, you aren't going to believe what I'm about to tell you. I can't wait. I was giggly with excitement to have May here, even if it was only for a few days, and most of those would be taken up by writing the coverage and the New Year's festivals for the Junction Journal. Holiday Junction was a small town, just like my small town, and true to its name, they celebrated every single holiday. But the big ones, you know, Easter, Thanksgiving, 4th of July, Christmas, now those were celebrations that were over the top. And the Sparkle Ball this year's theme was the New Year's celebration. And when May called to wish me a Merry Christmas, I mentioned the Sparkle Ball and how the Junction Journal was sponsoring it. Within seconds, she'd invited herself, and here she was, a couple days away from the turn of the new year. Trust me when I say I was surprised. It wasn't like May and I were best friends and normal. Honestly, quite the opposite. We'd fought tooth and nail, butted heads, to be truthful, but never in a million years did I ever think I'd be celebrating the turn of the new year with May West. This as far as I go, ladies. Rhett stopped shy of the double sliding doors leading to the outside world. Duty calls. The next plane should be arriving in, Rhett joked and checked his phone. 2 days from now. He laughed. Holiday Junction had very few flights in and out, but there was a much bigger airport an hour or so away. If anyone needed a flight, they could just drive there. It was nice to meet you, Rhett. May had really put on the Southern charm, a far cry from when I'd met her years ago when she showed a hard exterior. I sure hope to see you at the fancy Sparkle Ball. You sure will, Rhett said his goodbyes. It was nice to see this side of May, and it made me happy she was here. We'd never had any sort of sleepover or true get-together just as friends. More times than not, we met during my interviewing days as a reporter for Channel 2 News, or my daily talk show, or as an editor and writer of the Normal Gazette. I had to admit, I was a little nervous when you told me you were coming out, I said, and walked out of the airport. Are you okay? I asked and pointed at the trolley stop sign. Yeah, you know, May wiggled her finger in the air. Wedding stuff, plus Mary Elizabeth, and well, the whole Sharp family saga. She left the word hanging and looked out into the distance. That's gorgeous. She pointed to the snow-covered landscape where the mountains rose in the distance. A few of the peaks were hidden behind a veil of white as it was reaching up to touch the sky. And this crisp air, she sucked in a deep breath. Yeah, it's amazing here. I took in the trees, which were coated in a layer of frost. The branches were heavy with snow, and the ground was a blanket of white. The snow crunched underfoot as we walked to the glass enclosure to wait for the next ride to town. It really is pretty here. She looked at me and her eyes dipped. There was more to May's visit than just a visit, but I'd give her space, and in her own time, I'm sure she'd tell me. I had to ask about the word she'd let dangle before she noticed the landscape. Saga? I asked, and saw Goldie Bennett as it was at the helm of the trolley. The shimmering red sequin shirt looked like Goldie had started her own personal New Year's party. Ding, ding! The clanking trolley bell clapped as it approached. Goldie slammed the brakes on and pushed the lever to swing open the door. Welcome to Holiday Junction, May! Goldie blew on the dazzling, shiny gold and silver fringe blowout. One of those cone-shaped cardboard hats with fuzz all over the edges was on top of her head. We are so excited you're here. Climb on in. Okay. May's eyes lit up. When she took a step up, she glanced back at me, and I thought that this was going to be a boring week. Nope. Normal Kentucky has nothing on Holiday Junction. My body shivered as the goosebumps crawled along my skin. Chapter 1, New Year's Nuisance, a holiday cozy mystery.